Hi, everybody. It's Sandy Duncan here. And look who I've got with me once again. Lucky me. Michael Lamport, Edna Dargie, Alison Wynne-Ryder, and of course, Jackie Dennison, my rescue medium genius friends. Hey.
Hey.
I said to myself earlier, if I say hey, will they all say it back?
Yeah.
Thank you.
You must be psychic.
Yeah. Something like that. Well, today we're going to talk about one of my all-time favorite episodes, Cobourg. I love this episode for a million reasons. Not was it just the edge of my seat, which every episode was, but this one, for me, as a viewer, built up. We started like here, and then we built, and then we built, and it just kept going until the end. And I thought the end was phenomenal. So I'm so excited to talk about this one in lots of respects. But I have to say, out of the gate, my first question is the arrival. Michael,
Yes.
this lady had on a bumper sticker on her van, something about, don't piss off a witch. Was she really a witch that was driving you around?
Yeah, she is. She lives in a town near a town called Napanee, for the viewers. That's in southern Ontario, and I've known her for years, and she agreed to come by and be the escort. But she, I guess you'd call it, she is a practicing witch. Like, she goes to all these Wiccan fests and everything like that. And she's a very interesting woman. I'll leave it at that, I guess. Catching a lift with the head of the Rescue Mediums fan club, the ladies are on their way to help.
You've not got a couple of broomsticks in here for us, have you?
Actually, I do.
Jackie and Alison are renowned psychic mediums who spend their days and nights showing wayward spirits into the light.
And how fitting, how perfect. So it started off, it had my attention as soon as I saw the bumper sticker.
Yeah, it was. And it was a great surprise to us. As well, because Diane, who is the driver, she also heads the Rescue Mediums fan club, and we did not know that she was, because of course they never tell us what the arrivals are going to be either. So that was a great surprise. You walked outside, and there she is, and it's like, oh, okay, what's Diane doing here? Is she just coming because she's huge fan of the show? And no, she's actually part of the episode. So that was fantastic.
Yeah, terrific beginning. And I was curious too, because this is season 6, episode 11 on veryparanormal.com. And by now you've done a few of these, through the series. But I'm curious, Michael and Edna, because this story was so unique. Do you recall what it felt like when you interviewed these particular homeowners?
Well, I asked, what do you think, Edna?
At that point, I didn't know that it was going to be would have such a wonderful outcome and would be so clear as to who we were rescuing. I guess for me, I knew we were in the Cobourg area, and that meant I'd be researching, oh my gosh, tons of possibilities, because I have literally stacks of deaths from the Cobourg jail, and I never know what's going to come up, if that's going to be one of the factors leading into it. But from visiting the homeowners themselves, there were concerns with their issues, but I guess at that point I had no idea where it was going to go.
Yeah, I agree with Edna, because when we visited them, the three of them very, very nice. And I remember thinking, yeah, but I mean, like, is there anything really here? Or, is it a case where, the girls are just sort of like, but there was a feeling that there was something there, which is why we wanted to do it, because there was, and it turns out there was.
It definitely was.
Yeah, absolutely. And was this one of the few times where someone had actually had to move out of the house because of the disturbances?
Although Tamarishka in a previous one, she moved out of the house.
Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of. Yeah.
I thought, well, the whole family moved out in that case, didn't they?
Yes,
In that
they were.
particular episode. I think in this episode, I think the eldest daughter had to move out because of all the paranormal things that were happening around her when she was there.
Rescue mediums are investigating this quaint century house in the historic city of Cobourg, where inexplicable events have so terrified a daughter that she can no longer live in the family home.
I won't come back and stay at the house because I'm too terrified.
I mean, right from the premonitions on this, gosh, right from the get-go, you knew what was involved. And, you know, when you're sitting with the homeowners at the beginning and you can kind of gauge their reaction on their faces when you're saying certain things, you were just off to a flying start. It felt like right from the very beginning, as usual.
I think the interesting one with the premonitions, what tends to happen with premonitions is Alison will get certain premonitions and I will get certain premonitions. On this one, there was a lot that we'd got that was the same.
Nightmares. Somebody's really having disturbed dreams.
Nightmares and sleeplessness.
Yes.
Yeah.
As soon as we moved in, Natalie started having nightmares. I started having nightmares when she wasn't here.
Strange noises that can't be attributed to anything physical. So, and you had similar.
Yes.
Jackie and I never know. You know, when the homeowners are being interviewed, we are not there. We're driven afterwards, and that's when we read our premonitions to the homeowners. But this one was just, I mean, I've got to say, girl, we got this one on blob, didn't we? And we knitted so well.
Oh, gosh. Yeah.
Even, you know, we were sort of feeling this, we had the same feelings. And what we were given psychically, it was going from one to the other, from the other to, it was like that. It was like, wasn't it?
It was.
I feel really sickly, really, really nauseous.
Oh.
A female spirit suddenly makes her presence felt.
Cramps, like stomach cramps.
Oh,
I'm feeling
God.
nausea.
You know, that sickly feeling you had in there.
You got it
I
now.
feel it, but I feel headachy as well. Can't get my breath down here very well.
I feel like as though
You can't breathe.
I can't
properly.
breathe.
I felt like that in the basement.
When you got the names, I mean, you had names throughout your investigation. Edna, if I had your job and I was listening as they were investigating and I was hearing names, I think the excitement would have come up into my throat and thought, oh, this is, I now know who to look for.
Yes, there were a lot of specifics there that really helped with the research.
Yeah.
So I could narrow it down fairly fast. And then, my gosh, there were so many pointers to the men that we rescued. It was a lot of fun that way.
Yeah. And watching, I'm thinking, oh, they got him. They got him. You know exactly what's going on here. This is, yeah. Anyway.
What was interesting about that in the premonitions, I think Alison, you had the name of King in the premonition.
Yeah.
And when that was read out to the homeowners, they had no idea what that meant. So
King.
where that can, and it wasn't until Edna brought all the research together that it made total sense why that name was given to you, because you also got the name William halfway through the investigation, didn't you?
William.
Okay.
Edna, when we were doing the premonitions and you heard Alison say the name King, did that start something rolling with you to say, oh, I wonder if that is?
To be honest, I don't remember. It was so long ago.
Yeah.
But I believe that I had a fair bit of information on him as well. So I may have, but I really can't remember if I recalled it at the time or if I had to go back and look.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you also had Jackie Doctor. In the
Oh, yes. That's right.
A doctor connection.
Raised on a farm in the nearby community of Brighton, William Henry King spent his formative years working with the family's land. At the age of 19, he entered medical school and began training as a general physician.
Wow.
So you got his name, Alison, and I got his occupation.
Yeah. I love how we do that, how it fits like that.
Yeah.
It's amazing, isn't it? It really is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I often wonder when that happens with you two, just like looking at it, I often think in my silly producer type head, do the guides from the other side, they say, okay, Alison, here is the person's name. And then Jackie contacts her guide and the guide says, oh, well, what do you want to know about? And Jackie says, well, who's the person? And the guide goes, no, I've already told Alison that. Like, I wonder if they're sort of like, oh my God, how many times are going to tell you this?
They're definitely working together, obviously.
Yeah.
You know, as we work together, our spirit guides are conversing and sort of work. And there's something in that, Michael, that they must be sorting it out between them.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I mean, how boring it would be if we got exactly the same things every single time. You know, imagine that would be quite neat, even if it happened once.
Yeah.
Not unusual. Yeah.
They briefly mentioned their dog would not go, I believe it was the kitchen. The dog wouldn't go into certain areas of the house.
An animal that refuses to go into a certain part of the property.
Oh, the poor little thing.
Yeah.
3 in the morning. I came downstairs and our dog was barking towards the kitchen. And I felt like something was right there with me. She took off and ran and hid under the bed.
Yeah, I think, well, animals are very intuitive, aren't they?
Yeah.
So, and very often they will pick up on sounds that we wouldn't be able to hear from our human ears. So there is something in that. So, you know, and they may alert the homeowners to a particular area.
Yeah, as Alison said, they can tune into things because they can hear things that we can't hear, but they're also able to see things that we can't. So they, you know, they can see things, they can smell things as well. You know,
Smell's
so
a good one.
Yeah.
Absolutely, with dogs particularly.
Yeah.
And maybe seeing movement. But the interesting thing is that that dog wouldn't go in the kitchen because this was obviously quite a negative spirit, the aspects of it. And like, if it had been a friendly one, it'd probably go into the kitchen quite happily.
Yeah.
We touched on the story of the flowers in this episode with respect to one of the daughters. Could you all elaborate on what happened with the flowers with this lady?
I saw 2 spirits. I saw a male and a female.
Yeah.
And the male had given the female flowers and she was holding the flowers.
And I can see a man. And there's a woman standing in front of him and she's really beautiful.
Oh.
And he has some flowers. He gives her the flowers and she smiles at him.
What was interesting, obviously Jackie and I wouldn't know this at the time, that Chantal, who is the eldest daughter that left the house, had yellow when she woke up all up her sleeve from the yellow flowers that had been in the vase that her mum had put in the vase, and the flowers were all mashed up on the floor.
But why was the troubled spirit of William King drawn to this Cobourg home? Jackie and Alison believe the answer lies with the homeowner's older daughter.
She looks like the eldest daughter. I'd said to Alison, oh my God, she looks just like Chantal. It was your face.
Why? You reminded him of her.
But he was giving you the flowers.
The one night that I stayed, I woke up with yellow all over my sleeves. My mom had called me and asked what I was doing with her flowers. and they were yellow flowers, and she had found them all mashed in.
Oh my God.
And then I put two and two together that somehow they had been rubbed all over me while I was sleeping.
Oh, good God. He's giving you flowers, Chantal.
Physical, being able to physically move that. I think it was the strength of William's passion for the love of his life that he was physically able. Love is a very powerful emotion.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, and to be able to, he really wanted to connect with her, and he was reliving the same thing over and over because he couldn't get
was drawn to
her.
Chantal.
And
she
so
reminded her of his love. That's
exactly.
right.
Yeah.
He had, they had written love letters back and forth. Dr. King and Melinda, his sweetheart, and he addressed her as, quote, his sweet little sugar lump of good nature.
Flipping heck. That's a bit.
And he said,
Alison Wynne-Ryder.
Sorry.
Perfect infatuation to me, he said. Oh, I would like to say 1,000 things to you that flash through my imagination.
I'm sure.
Wow. because I'm the only male on this panel, and speaking for all males that watch this, please don't ever go up to somebody and just say, "Hi, you're my sweet lump of sugar fascination," or whatever it was, because whoever you say that to, you're going to get slapped. So don't do it.
No, it was in a letter, Michael. They wrote love letters back and forth.
Yeah.
Don't write it.
And I don't know why I said to the fact that he was in love with her, with what happened to his wife. He was gradually poisoning his wife so that he could eventually marry the other woman. So, yeah.
You know that his wife was actually 4.5 months pregnant.
No.
At that time.
Yeah, that
He
came
lost
out.
the
That
baby
came
earlier.
out in the I
The
remember that.
was, they lost a baby earlier through him.
That's
but this
right.
one, and he would have known she was pregnant.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's awful.
Yeah, you picked up on that, Alison, didn't you? When we went into one of the rooms and you could see a dead baby. Yeah,
I saw a baby that just flopped, and I knew obviously the baby had died, and there was somebody holding the baby. It was one of the most horrible, heart-wrenching things I'd seen,
Jackie, I've just seen a limp baby. I've just had a horrible vision of a baby that's gone limp and somebody's holding it.
It was a story that built that one, like Sandy, you said it was like it was a story that built as we went through and trying to piece it all together. It's like, what's going on here, from Alison connecting to a baby that had gone limp and died, to me picking up on a male who it was like he's running for his life.
That's right.
He was just that's all I could see was like running, and this feeling of panic with him that he had to get away, and then hearing someone say, I think it was like, hang him by the neck until he's dead.
I see somebody running down the road. Really running. Running away. And looking back as if to say, is he following? And I can hear lots of shouting, and I can hear dogs barking, jumping over places. I just heard somebody say, hang him by the neck until he's dead.
Somebody going to string him up, because we had no idea what had happened at that point.
No.
To him, it was,
Earlier on, I'd seen something swinging back and two. but it wasn't clear enough. It wasn't given with like that much clarity because there was everything else going on.
Yeah.
I've just seen something else as well swinging back into, but I don't know what I can see swinging back into.
Yeah.
Because obviously he was charged with his wife's murder. He was slowly poisoning her. It's quite, that was sort of like horrific.
I can't remember whether he was slowly poisoning her or
Edna,
Edna, what happened in the finish?
Yes. It says here that she was sick for 3 weeks. He would give her a white powder 3 or 4 times a day. It would always make her worse, not better. And it was proven that he'd been purchasing half an ounce of arsenic a day before the onset of his wife's illness, as well as a quantity of morphine.
And she must have trusted him. She must have loved him and trusted him.
Wasn't it her with the stomach pains, which of course,
yes,
that's why she was probably having those stomach pains. What's interesting though as well is, and this goes back to an earlier episode of Behind the Scenes, a question that Sandy had asked once before, about helping a murderer to cross to the other side.
Yes,
which of course
I remember now.
He was a murderer.
Yes, and that's what we did. Good point. I remember that question.
Yeah. We didn't know what he'd done at the time.
No.
We just needed to sort out what the problem was and get him over. It's not for us to judge, it's up to a higher source than us to be able to put that into perspective.
And you know what, you saw 2 women coming forward.
Oh, yeah.
I remember you saying there's 2 of them.
We need to try and bring her forward, whoever she is, Jackie.
The rescue mediums seek the female spirit earlier met, but 2 spirits emerged.
There's 2 ladies there.
So he's got 2 on the go then.
Oh, hey.
Wonder if one was his wife and one was his bit on the side.
Yeah.
So, and we at that point we didn't know which was his lover, which was his wife.
Yeah.
So we said, well, get the one to step forward that is his true love.
It's torn.
It's torn between which
yes.
one?
Jackie and Alison attempt to resolve this psychic love triangle.
Let's get him to call out for his true love, and the one that he's meant to be with will walk forward.
The one with the flowers, it was his lover that he was trying to be with. And I felt for the other one again, and then even more so when I heard what the whole story was, his poor wife,
Yeah.
And you know what's interesting, not just about Cobourg, I think, but about all of the episodes, is if viewers sort of concentrate a lot, and they should, on the show and tell, there's a fascinating dynamic there, because Jackie and Alison tell things to the homeowners about spirit that they can agree or disagree with or whatever, blah, blah, blah. But often the homeowners surprise Jackie and Alison with things like they did here. And so there's such a fantastic dynamic that goes on, in my opinion, with the show and tell, because the surprises are on both sides, I guess is what I'm saying. And as the producer and as Edna researcher and everything like that, it's always fascinating to see that, because it's like, oh God, that's where it went. Because as Jackie says, and I want to assure the viewers, it's not set up. They have no idea where they're going. And I have no idea how it's going to end.
And neither do we.
I know. As I say, ignorance is bliss sometimes, but then it is surprising at the end, like you say, Michael, very much so. And then obviously Edna piecing it all together is just amazing, all the work that Edna does.
Yeah.
That's why, as a viewer, I think it's a testament to all of you that as a viewer, I feel like I'm being brought to that table. Like I'm sitting with
Oh.
all of you at the end of the show. That's the intimacy that I think is created on behalf of everybody, all of you, the crew, everyone, because I feel like I've pulled up my chair and now you're going to tell me what happened.
Oh, wow. That's great.
It is
That is
wonderful. Yeah.
But I had to laugh. I mean, it's just maybe my sense of humor, forgive me. But in the show, when the two women stepped up and you said, you know, have his one true love step forward, and it was the girlfriend, not the wife. And then in the show, the spirit of the wife turns around and walks away. I could just feel her going, are you kidding me? Like, first he kills me. Now he's got a girlfriend. We could have him. Like, that's it. I'm done.
Exactly.
don't-
Poor woman. Exactly.
I felt for her. I did.
But you know, her purpose in being there was almost like, had she been trapped because of him and because of what had happened, did he need to recognize that before she could go, do you know what, as you say, I'm cutting the ties from him now I can move on, you know?
Or was she trapped too because she wanted to stay in that situation to figure out what happened?
Maybe. Maybe.
Possibly.
Yeah, or just to tell her side of the story.
Yeah.
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 Like,
we don't always know why. We don't always know the whys and the wherefores, do we?
No.
No.
I mean, she may
you
have been
know.
wanting to help. You don't, you know, we didn't know
Yeah.
because she really didn't communicate that strongly with us, other than to
No.
say, look, this is what happened to me. I had,
Yeah. The stomach
you know,
pains.
I
and
lost
that.
the baby. I was the
Yeah.
one that had all the stomach issues that he was, my doctor husband
Poor woman.
was treating me for.
After about a year of being married, Sarah gave birth to a little boy whose name was George. Now, he only lived just a couple of months and then he died, sadly.
I've just had a horrible vision of a baby that's gone limp and somebody's holding it.
Jackie and Alison believe that the death of Sarah's firstborn son was a tragedy from which he was unable to recover.
Apparently the Melinda, the woman that he loved, afterwards she took, it says, refuge in the bottle and died in the late 1800s in an asylum in Toronto.
Oh,
A penniless, lovely old woman, lonely old woman.
oh
I
God.
didn't know that.
Oh, that
Wow.
is so sad. The whole situation is heartrending, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Gosh.
God rest his soul, no matter what he did, but
Yeah.
he sounds like a real unlikable person.
Yes.
Yeah. I recall if the physical land had any familiarity to Dr. King or the women.
He escaped to America.
Yes, that's
Well,
right.
he went over the border to the States
Yeah, to America.
and hid out on a farm there.
Ah, yeah.
Or he was found in a barn,
Oh,
hiding
yeah.
under the straw of a pig.
Oh gosh,
Yeah.
yes, Alison. When we were outside, when we very first started the, you know, the walkabout outside, didn't you see like a den or something? You could see it.
I did with like what looked like twigs and that. So
Yeah.
Somebody's made like a den, you know, like they've made like twigs and they've
Yeah.
sort of entwined them and sort
Yeah.
of maybe to hide. Yeah.
About if they found him in the States, did they bring him back?
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
Okay.
He was brought back to a jail cell in Cobourg to
Ah.
wait trial.
Right.
And oh, and what's interesting, it says here that this trial was the first time that forensic evidence had been used in Canada,
Oh,
because they had exhumed her body to check for arsenic.
oh my gosh.
That's amazing.
William King was charged with murder, his trial taking place in the spring of 1859. Although he proclaimed his innocence, King was found guilty.
He was sentenced to death.
That would have been a great thing to put in the show. Like that this is the first time that forensic, because I mean,
Yes.
nowadays, everybody's, you know, all a buzz about forensics.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that would have been great to put in the show.
Yeah, well, that's specific evidence, isn't it, that links to the perpetrator. So,
So why
like Jackie said,
did not the producer put it into the show?
Oh, I'll tell you why not. Because the producer only just found that out about 2 minutes ago.
Well,
I had no idea about this before.
it happens that a lot of information is passed on, but in a show that's only 22 minutes,
Yeah.
what can you keep? That's
what
the
you put
problem.
in, exactly.
Yeah.
I just found something here that really supports all the stomach pains, etc.
Uh-huh.
Mrs. King, the wife, she took sick and remained so until her death. During her illness, she suffered the most excruciating pain with almost continual vomiting.
Oh,
God.
good
And
grief.
pregnant at the same
God, the
time.
pain that poor lady must have been in.
Oh, and the nausea, because we
Yes.
both picked up on the
Yeah.
nausea,
Yes.
didn't we?
Yeah, the nausea, the stomach pain, the whole lot would have been
That was
a
her.
contributor for that, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be it.
And he
Yeah.
surrendered at that point, and he did confess to everything.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's very suitable that he was found with pigs in a pig farm. Although, I mean, pigs are beautiful animals, but the epithet that we use for them, because he, I'm glad they found him.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And I'm glad you guys found him too,
Well,
I guess.
I'm glad for Alison and I that we met him in a nice home rather than having to go to sit with the pigs at the pig
Yes,
farm to
I
do
will
the
second that. Yeah.
As lovely as they are, as you say, we would not be happy as pigs in muck, I tell you.
That's true.
And we did the cheers in the jail in Cobourg jail, didn't we?
Yes,
That
yes,
was fun.
we did.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
I can't quite remember for the cheers there. You made up the puns, didn't you, this time when you said I wanted to be behind a bar? Or did I suggest that?
You did. You suggested it because we had done an earlier episode with Christine, and I had done an earlier episode where we'd done a cheers there.
Bye.
And visit a more arresting location.
I'm so glad we were able to help, weren't you?
Oh, so was I, yeah.
Do you know, Alison, this reminds me of a cheers that I've done before. And in that one, I said something like, oh, you know, I always wanted to be behind a bar, but this is not the sort of bar I was referring to.
Oh, that's a terrible pun.
It is, isn't it?
It is. In fact, Jackie, it's a sellout.
Now that's a terrible pun. Cheers!
Yeah.
That's
then
right,
you-
because you
yeah.
said it reminds you of the previous cheers, and I said it's a sellout. Or something.
That's it. Yeah,
Yes.
That sounds like one of yours, Michael.
it does.
Oh,
After such
I
a
don't
strong
wanna be-
episode, I don't think I'd think of sellout at the.
okay.
Oh,
I
who
just hate to
knows?
be branded with the person that always comes up with the corny cheers lines.
Yeah, that's
But I
what
guess
it is.
that's who I am.
Listen, if you can make someone smile after the terror ride we're
Oh,
on
gosh.
this whole episode, I think that's genius. I think it's
That's
terrific.
very sweet, Sandy. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yes, of course, of course.
Okay, well, I think we should have a cheers, don't you?
Yes, do.
Yeah. Yeah. Here's to, I don't know. I'm so semi-depressed now. I can't think of anything to say.
Well, here's to true love.
Yes,
Here's to
that's
true
sweet.
love.
True
I
love.
agree.
There.
Cheers,
True love.
everyone.
Cheers,
Cheers.
everyone.
Cheers.
Thank you, Sandy.
Cheers,
Thank
Sandy.
you, everyone. Cheers.
If you enjoyed watching behind the scenes, please like, share and subscribe to veryparanormal.com, the portal for everything paranormal, where you can watch every episode of Behind the Scenes and every episode of Rescue Mediums, plus so much more. And it's absolutely free. You can't get much better than that. Cheers.